Before we dive into this episode, I'm excited to share a word from our sponsor. The product landscape is shifting fast. Executive leadership demands more than expertise, strategic clarity, trusted connections, the adaptability to lead in a shifting landscape, and the ability to show up fully without losing yourself in the process. That's why Women in Product and Athena Alliance created Executive Edge, a high-impact program for executive women in product designed to build the skills, network, and confidence to lead as C-suite executives, founders, and industry shapers. Learn more and apply at womenpm.org/programs. Let's lead what's next together.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. We have been off for a little while here and dreaming up all kinds of new things for you. You may have noticed, first of all, that we have a new name, Product Rising, and we're hoping this name gives folks a better idea of what to expect from us, including things like navigating industry shifts in product and professional development and coverage of both challenges and opportunities in the field. So, to get things started, I'm thrilled to introduce Cassie Campbell. Cassie is a seasoned product leader with over 20 years of experience in product management, including roles as head of product and VP of product at multiple startups. She's known for launching successful products and helping early stage companies scale. Recently, she launched Cassie Camp, a consultancy where she offers fractional CPO advisory and coaching services. Cassie is the producer and the host of a new series that we are launching today that is exploring product coaching. Cassie, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth. It's really been a privilege to work with you on this podcast, and I'm really excited to dive into this series.
Yeah, so let's start with the core idea behind the series. Why did you feel it was important to create a podcast focused on product coaching?
Sure. So like most product managers, I've built a really fulfilling career on the shoulders of really amazing managers and leaders that I've had the privilege to work with. Yeah. But on the flip side, and especially as I got into higher leadership positions, I didn't always have the level of coaching that I would have desired. And I really had to ask for it. First off, it was in the form of an executive coach, and that was really great for my leadership on the executive team and my executive stakeholder influence, et cetera, but less impactful on my general product leadership. And then also, like many product managers, I've really benefited from honing my own practice through reading books and listening to podcasts and reflecting on my experiences. And while those are all great, I just found that it wasn't always straightforward to then put those into practice in the real world, right? We talked to Marty Cagan, and his third book, Transformed, is about moving into the product operating model. And he has like a whole book dedicated to how to bring this to life within an organization. Yeah. And so, I mean, since he's dedicated a whole book to that specifically, I think it just goes to show that it isn't straightforward, right? So, first, we're living in this world where there is on-the-job learning, but it can be hit or miss. And concepts from today's product thought leaders, they're not always straightforward to apply in real life. And then third, the new thing really is that there's been an explosion of people that call themselves product coaches on LinkedIn. And so as we're thinking about modern product practices, what's a modern product manager to do? And that's why I felt it was really important to have this series on product coaching.
Yeah, as you mentioned, there are tons of books and podcasts and other resources out there. How does coaching take that to the next level, right?
Absolutely. There is a fire hose of books and podcasts and newsletters, and it can be really tricky to stay on top of all of that. But while those resources are really invaluable, I think that coaching can really amplify the benefits you can get from them. And it can do that in a few ways, right? The first thing is that the coach can help adapt those learnings so that you can operate in your specific context. Those books and ideas often lack the nuance to apply the concepts effectively in different organizational settings. And, frameworks are not plug and play. They're not paint by numbers. Now, these ideas really need to be adapted to the context or else risk organ rejection. Another thing is that a coach can provide outside perspective, which often leads to deeper and thought-provoking questions and discovery. People that hire coaches are often quite skilled and experienced in their jobs. And as one of our guests, Meghna Shah, reminded us, like even professional athletes have coaches and they're at the top of their game, right? So a coach provides like a form of assessment for you while being on your team. They bring social accountability, they bring follow through on growth and development. And I find that can be a lot more impactful than self-directed learning alone. And, in fact, like a lot of the coaches that we talked to, they felt that before even hiring a coach, people should really be familiar with the materials, whether they're books or talks or articles, right? So it's like, not that this is about providing an academic understanding, that needs to be there, but the coach can really help with the practical application and implementation.
Yeah, it's really not so much about learning as it is about applying that learning and working that muscle so that it comes naturally and the pitfalls or the advantages. So coaching is such a hot topic these days, and there are many types of coaches out there. What kind of coaches are you focusing on for this podcast? I think it's important to make that clear for people because there's so many different types.
So many different types. Yeah, I think it's really exciting to see how much coaching has evolved as a function in recent years.
Yeah.
We've had for a long time now executive leadership coaches, and there's some really great books on those, right? There's $1 Trillion Coach by Bill Campbell and Reboot by Jerry Colonna, who, they worked with some of the top tech executives we know today. And so I think those are just great reads for any aspiring product leader or leader in general. But on the other end of the spectrum, right, we have career coaches that are helping early individual contributors. So my priority with this series is to focus specifically on coaches that know the product management function intimately. In fact, everybody we talk to has been a product manager or product leader, and they work with product leaders to improve their product practice. And my tagline is that I like to build teams that build products that build businesses, and that's the crux of the product function. There's an intersectionality there, people and strategy and execution and revenue that's really unique in the product management experience. And so I really feel like coaching for this function should be unique as well.
Yeah. So why now? Why is the timing right for this? Because coaches have been around for a little while. So why now?
It's a good question. We're at this really fascinating moment in product management. I think, whenever I catch up with other PMs, we're all reflecting on this moment is really interesting, right? So we've talked about this explosion of content on one side, right? We've got books by thought leaders like Melissa Perry and Marty Cagan and Teresa Torres, and newsletters like by Lenny Richitsky, and then, Shreyas Doshi's Twitter feed. And people are consuming all of this material, right? And people have these books on their bookshelf or their desk, and maybe they read them only to wake up the next day to business as usual, right? Without really putting those things into practice.
Yeah.
And so there's no, like we said, no shortage of ideas and frameworks, but it's overwhelming to translate them.
Yeah.
We also talked though about more product leaders that are transitioning into coaching roles, right? So this differs from executive coaching in that they're focusing specifically on the nuances of product management and bridging that gap between strategy and then execution and then leadership. So unlike executive coaches who may emphasize high-level leadership skills, product coaches can complement that. They bring on hands-on experience navigating product development challenges, which really lean into stakeholder management and team collaboration in a unique way. And so the supply has increased, right? We've got more coaches. The economic climate has just fueled this trend for solopreneurship, and there's a large increase in product coaches. But on the demand side, right, there is a lot of pressure on product teams.
Yes.
And so I think that's increasing the demand too, right? We're all seeing downsizing all around us, right? Budget constraints, and there's just this idea, do more with less, right? And at the same time, we have AI coming in, and that's presenting both wonderful, amazing opportunities and challenges. And then, product leaders really need to be able to sharpen their focus more now than ever, period. And I really think, given how dynamic this all is, navigating it with a coach in your corner can really make you more successful. And so, this series, we just aim to provide actionable insights to help you navigate the challenges, and think about how you can have a coach help elevate your product practice in this very dynamic and evolving landscape.
Yeah. I just want to note for listeners, like, we do talk about like when you should hire a coach, and we actually ask the coaches that. And I think those are questions that seem kind of obvious, but it's not necessarily intuitive to everybody. And when they should really reach out and have somebody help them. So I think there's a lot of good stuff in here. Let me just say, you have an incredible list of folks that you're speaking with for the series, like Marty Cagan and Teresa Torres and Hope Gurian and others. We interviewed some of them previously on the podcast. How are your interviews here different?
Right. Right. All of these coaches, they've been interviewed before. Their wisdom is widely known. And so we did want to make sure we're doing something different and creating new value, right, for our audience. And so I think part of the first, concept there is that we wanted to bring everybody together into one series, right? So this is the series that you listen to if you want to hear from the coaches. That's like one step, right? But we want to then go beyond that. So we don't ask Marty Cagan to talk to us about the product operating model. There's 1,000 YouTube videos for that. Or Teresa Torres to share the virtues of continuous discovery habits. Again, like, great blog, great book, great videos. Instead, what we specifically ask them about is their coaching practice, right?
Right.
We get their perspectives on coaching as a product that they manage, right? And what problems does it solve well? When might somebody hire a coach, or when should they do something else instead? And what's it like to work with them as a coach, or how does their coaching complement their content? And so we also ask for stories from the field. I think it's so helpful to really put it all in perspective and illustrate things and make it more relatable for our audience. Hopefully, Bhaski Mukherjee shares an example of a time when one of her clients received like this annual list of features given to them about, that was given to them by their leadership, and then how that product leader responded and evolved in that context, right? Jessica Nelson Cole shares about a time when there was a product team that was being judged for not being innovative. And the spoiler alert is that the team was innovating or had demonstrated innovation, but the culture of the company wasn't really set up to leverage that innovation. So then she helped them work through that and build like the bridge of trust towards that innovation, right? So, we aim to really demystify coaching, help product managers navigate the options and understand how coaching can fit into their professional development. And our goal is really to help product people realize, like, coaching is a tool, right? It's a tool in your toolbox, and you should know how and when to use it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you conducted the interviews for the series. What was the experience like for you?
It was fun, right? It's lucky. I love what I do, right? So I had a blast recording this series. I think that, I really enjoyed connecting with everybody about product management, about what we do, and then also having this awesome opportunity to speak with so many people in our industry that I really respect. Yeah. And people that seem also really mission driven, right? They're mission driven to support product people to build great products and great product practices. And that was really a great experience to be just around that intention with them. And they all have their unique lens, right? So they all bring something unique, but there's pattern matching that we do across all of them too, and a lot of great themes. So it was really fun.
I think one of the things for me was just how deep their expertise was in talking to them. And as they talked about the times that they coached and different examples, it really was illustrative of how incredibly knowledgeable and, as you say, committed they are to the product function. Yeah. So, are there any moments for you that really stood out from the interviews? Did they change how you think about your journey or?
Yeah, sure. I think one thing that was really great is when we were told by a couple of people when not to hire coaches, right? So I think it's important to have that understood, right? Hope shared some specific ways that she qualifies customers, looking very carefully for those that she knows she can have an impact.
Yeah.
And then Teresa Torres spoke about when not to use coaching because it can be expensive. And then on the flip side, Marty Cagan shared thoughts on how coaching can be a bargain. And, his context was different. He's comparing it to consulting, whereas, Teresa is comparing it to training. So it really helped hear them frame their perspective on when coaching was the right solution. And then another fun thing was that, like all product thinkers, these coaches thought about the problem to solve. And so once you determine the problem to solve, you can consider coaching as one of the several possible solutions, debate the merits and the path forward right from there. But the exception there is that some of our coaches noted, and this is something that's good to people to be thinking about, right? There are challenges. There can be challenges within a company's product practice or areas full of friction that are really hard to see from the inside. Yeah. So like self-awareness and ability to see that can be limited. And in those cases, it's really great to have a coach, right? Because there's power in like evaluating the problem and the opportunity space with a coach and kind of seeing things in a new light. Yeah. And then I think as far as my personal journey, great product people can look at anything through the lens of product management. Yeah. And, even coaching is a product. So, I have a hunch that a lot of product people think it could be perceived as a weakness to hire a coach, right? I think a lot of people have grown in their career based on their, their merits, their relationships, their accomplishments. And in fact, the opposite is true, right? The smartest leaders think about how to accelerate their growth, to accelerate their business. And I have a kind of a personal example for that. So at the conclusion of one of my interim CPO roles, the CEO kept me on as a coach to work with him and then the new head of product that I had hired on. And he knew that ironing out intentionally any friction there, right? Like whether it was with the relationship between the CEO and the head of product and how they would collaborate or how they would do product at this company, that addressing that with a coach up front would be time well spent, because like the sooner those conversations can happen and be had in a trusting way and a healthy way, the better, right? So, we talk with each of these coaches about how to frame coaching and make a business case for it in their organization.
Yeah. So tell us about the first episode. Who's the guest and what can listeners expect?
Right. So our first guest is Marty Cagan. And speaking of, coaching is a product, Marty believes that once you're a manager, your people are your product. And he speaks about the percentage of time that first line managers should be coaching and how that changes as you get more senior in the leadership organization. And I think you'll be surprised by some of the numbers he shares. He has a really strong point of view on what kind of coaches the world needs more of. And some of them are profiled in his book, Transformed. He made those profiles on purpose, right? He wanted to be like, this is what I mean when I talk about a great product coach, because there's other viewpoints on what product coaching can be as well.
Right.
And then, he also mentioned, and we talk about like coaching versus coaching at scale. Right, he founded Silicon Valley Product Group, and it's got several partners. They're a boutique firm and want to remain a boutique firm. Yeah. So one of the neat things is that he shared that he worked with product coaches from around the world and brought them together in a Coach the Coaches program so that he himself could go and find coaches that he knows that he can recommend with confidence. And And so that was another great nugget. People can reach out to Silicon Valley Product Group to get recommendations. It's a great place to start if you're looking for a coach.
Yeah, I feel like Marty's like the Johnny Appleseed of product in a way. He's like out there seeding things and people all over the place, which is really kind of wonderful when you think about it. So anyway, so I'm very excited about this series. And before we close out, I think it's important to let folks know that we'll be dropping episodes of this series weekly. We have a lot of interviews and a lot of great content that we want to get in your hands as quickly as we can. So that is definitely more frequently than we have released episodes in the past. So I just want to let people know that and make sure that they are looking for it every week, right? Cassie's going to be doing all of the hosting weekly, so you'll be able to find us at all of the usual places, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you found us before, you'll find us now. And we'll also be on the Women in Product YouTube channel, so you'll be able to see video as well. So if you listen or you watch, you can tune in and don't miss next week's episode with Marty Cagan. It's a good one. Thanks, Cassie.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth.
This podcast is an original production of Women in Product. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Women in Product YouTube channel. Leave us a review so that others can discover us, or share this episode with someone you know. Original music provided by Jimmy Hahn. Thanks for joining.